Hello, everybody. Ha! Hi, Joseph.
Hi.
I'm Carlo. We're here.
Why are you more excited about everybody than Joseph?
I don't know.
Everybody is just a camera right now.
Anyway, we're here today. We're going to be discussing very important topics in our Mount Rushmore off. And would you like to reveal to whoever is watching, the one person, what we're going to be talking about tonight?
One person. You have so little faith. We are talking about Star Wars characters. Which we have not discussed, really, because if you've been with us before, you know we don't really discuss this beforehand so that we're not necessarily on the same page just to get some different opinions out there. And I thought about this, and I thought it was interesting, because if you think about Mount Rushmore, usually you're thinking about, like, you don't put a bad president on the Mount Rushmore, right?
No.
But I thought, okay, but Star Wars characters, we're not talking Star Wars heroes. We're talking about most important to Star Wars as a franchise. Most iconic to Star Wars as a franchise. Which altered my opinion towards being biased against villains. I
know where you're going.
So we'll see where this will go. You might be wrong about where you think it's going, but there are a few I contemplated that most people maybe wouldn't. But let's start. You want to start with one?
Okay, I'll start with mine.
All right.
And I'm just gonna have to. Again, this is not in order of which one is more important than another. It's just
top four.
The four most iconic, more important, in this case, Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
And I think the one that definitely needs to be there is Darth Vader. And especially after you see the whole thing, right?
1 through 6 is the story of Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
Really.
Now, I would say, if you ask me when I was 8 or 7, and you ask me which one would deserve this, I would just look at you and say, eh? Because I didn't speak English at that time. But anyway, assuming that I understood what you asked me, I would say Luke Skywalker.
Sure.
But I want to start with Darth Vader because it is the story of Darth Vader. Even though there are other characters that came and he's not introduced right away from the beginning. And even though he had in the first movie, in episode 4, he had very little screen time.
Sure.
I mean, I was terrified of him.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, I was just like, he was like this really big, bad guy.
Yeah. Every time he was on the screen, it left a large impact.
Indeed.
Screen time isn't necessarily a determiner of that kind of stuff.
Yes. And
a dog has entered
a dog has come in the building.
Yes.
Anyway, so there it is. That's. Would you agree with that one?
I do. That was on my list. I struggled with it a little bit. I ended up putting it down for myself as Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader because I thought it was important to like get the fullness. I'm not necessarily talking about just the Vader aspect. It's the entire character of Anakin Skywalker and how important he is to the franchise as a whole. I mean, even in Episode 8, we're still hearing about him and the effect he has on his grandson in Kylo Ren. And especially in the iconic, I mean, if there's a singular iconic image you can get with Star Wars, I feel like it has to start with the Vader helmet. You could argue for like the Death Star or something else, but for the most part, Darth Vader is one of the first thoughts you go to. So it wins in the iconic points, and then I think it wins in the just importance to the story and gravitas within the Star Wars world too, which is another thing that I took into account, is how important these characters were. And how much of an effect they had on the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, totally. I think that, and like you said, I was gonna say Anakin Skywalker, including his Darth Vader face, but it is just Darth Vader because he's Darth Vader. You see the prequels, and you know that is the story of Darth Anakin, who will become Darth Vader. So you know that it's him, and you're seeing how he is going through that whole thing. So, yeah.
Sure.
There's that.
All right. You're
up.
I will, since we agreed on that one, we'll see if we can agree on number 2.
Okay.
Because while we do not have rankings, we do have an idea of which ones we think are more obvious. So normally we try, and I'm trying to go with the ones that I think are a little more... We'll probably agree on them early on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other one for me is Obi-Wan. Now, one reason for this...
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
One reason for this is you have to think about effect on an entire universe. And there are so few characters that really stretch from episode 1 through episode 6. And there's very little there's really none from episode 3 all the way to 7 outside of little Easter eggs, if you will. Not counting R2 and C-3PO, of course. But Obi-Wan overall has such a wide impact from being the one who trains Anakin to being a co-main character in 1 through 3. To being an important character in 4 that really is the one that looks over Luke and starts Luke on his path, and is even important past his death in 4, as he's still showing up as a Force ghost training Luke from the grave. So really he has an impact on the history of Star Wars in the sense of so many of the events from 1 all the way through 6, and you could even argue past that, since because of his effect on Vader and Luke, who are still echoing in the newer movies, it's pretty hard to find a Jedi that has a bigger impact than Obi-Wan throughout all the movies. Not to mention, he's also he doesn't necessarily have an iconic image with him, but if you think Jedi, he's one of the first that you're going to think of.
Well, and then you think also, if we include, for example, Clone Wars, he carried the whole thing together with Anakin. It was so interesting to see him in that series and get to know him a little better. Yeah. And also, I like the lines that he has in throughout the whole series.
Oh, it's hilarious.
You know, he's got some fun ones. What's your favorite one?
I want to say it's the Death Sticks scene, where somebody, when the guy comes in the bar in episode 2, and he's like, "Hey, you want to buy some Death Sticks?" He's like, "You do not want to sell me the Death Sticks. You want to go home and rethink your life." Like, just fantastic. But he has so many good ones. I mean, Ewan McGregor, as an actor, just carried so much of, especially episodes 2 and 3.
I think I like Hello There.
Yeah.
That's just great.
Yeah. It's all in the execution.
Right.
Really.
And then especially because when you first see it, when I first saw it as a kid, I mean, it didn't do anything, but then you see it again, and then you see in the prequels how they play with that.
Yeah.
And it's just funny because that's an Obi-Wan line, you know?
Sure.
Hello there. And then they use it also in Clone Wars. So I think that's funny. I agree. Obi-Wan has to be there.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
This is where it might start to get interesting.
Right, next one. I'm gonna just say it. I'm just gonna say it. Luke Skywalker.
Yep. That is exactly who I would have listed even at this time.
Well, there you go. Yep. There you go.
So far, even our timing is right.
That's good.
Our timing is exactly right.
Very good.
That's fantastic.
Why? Well, because if you, let's say you saw just the first, the original trilogy, that's the hero.
Yeah.
You know, and he, Mark Hamill, he's just great as Luke Skywalker. I did not understand why he looked different after episode 4.
Car accident.
Yeah, the car accident thing, but I didn't learn that.
Because he's a little more like...
Yeah.
He's not on the dark side, obviously, but he's a little more gray at that point.
For sure.
As he's trying to make that final decision.
Mm-hmm. And it was great to see him back in the new trilogy. Again, with all the issues that the movies have and all the whining and all that. Yeah. It's still Star Wars. Come on.
Yeah.
It was fun to see him there. Would I have wanted him to do more? Yes.
Sure.
But it was still great to see him, and I'm sure that he's going to be back in the new one.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Force ghosting like a boss.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe he's brought back.
Yeah. He's actually the only one for me on my list, spoiler alert, who is not in the prequels. He's the only one that to me has enough gravitas that I forgive that he's not in the prequels, and I'm willing to put him there. Because if you think of like a little kid, who does he want to be? Usually I feel like if he wants to be a hero, and he's like, well, I can't choose Yoda, because I'm obviously not Yoda. I'm not green and this tall.
Yeah.
So I feel like Luke is the go-to.
Yeah.
Luke is sort of the
that's
the perfect hero,
right,
if you will.
And it's interesting because with the prequels, I don't know how many kids wanted to be Anakin.
Yeah. No.
You know?
If anything, probably Obi-Wan. I even knew some Mace Windu people.
Right.
Even though he didn't have much screen time, really. He's just kind of
cool.
like cool.
He was just this
moments.
cool Jedi.
Yeah, well, it's just because it's Samuel L. Jackson.
For sure. All right. We're now down to our last one.
Yeah. Now, I have a feeling this is where we're going to split. So, I had to think long and hard on this one. So...
Tell you what, let's say it at the same time. Go on. Just give your explanation first, and then we'll reveal it.
Well, I was going to go through a list of different ones I consider.
Okay.
Is that okay to do still?
Sure.
All right.
That's fine.
So different ones I consider.
That just proves we don't have a script. We don't know. We have no idea what we're saying.
Yeah. If there's one I really think we're just not... I feel like it's this one, but we'll see. Okay, so ones I thought through, okay, you got to look at who are the main characters of each arc. And I don't think there's enough gravitas in the newer ones yet to choose anybody who is from... So I contemplated Rey for a brief second, because she's the most significant from the new one, and then Kylo would be the other most significant.
Yeah, but I feel that I don't know them
exactly. They just don't have that bit yet. Even though I love Kylo, you will learn to... I love Kylo. I will defend Kylo until the grave. I think he's a fantastic villain.
He would face him.
But
he would do the force FaceTime thing.
Yeah. Especially when he's shirtless. But
oh no.
Just kidding.
Okay.
But why wear his pants so awkward? Anyway, so yeah. So to me, let's take the old trilogy first. Who do you have left? And yeah, you could go with the droids, but really those are clearly side characters the whole time. So you have Han and Leia.
It's interesting that you think of them like that, because they were supposed to be kind of like the ones carrying the whole story, because you were supposed to be
in a way they do. In a way they do,
yeah.
but they're not... I guess I've sort of briefly mentioned my 3 criteria.
Yeah.
And there's probably a little bit more, but so you got the iconic bit, the like recognizable, like people know who this is. And then you have the important to the Star Wars universe, and yes, you can argue R2 rescued the day 99% of the time or whatever, but really, Luke Skywalker took down the Empire with Darth Vader.
Yeah,
they're both a huge part of that.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan obviously was a part of training both of those people, and then Obi-Wan also was a very huge part of what happened to make Darth Vader who Darth Vader is. So those two are the two that I contemplate from explicitly the old trilogy, and then from the new one, I don't, or from episode 1 through 3, I don't think there's really anything to work with that we haven't mentioned already. We already have Obi-Wan, we already have Anakin / Darth Vader. So then who stretches over both? Then you have the option of, can we go villain again? Are we going with Darth Sidious? Or are we going with the light side equivalent of that, which is Yoda? And I have to go with Yoda. As much as I love Darth Sidious, I have to go with Yoda, because I thought through Han and I thought through Leia, and I'm like, they just don't have the... Like people do the Yoda voice. Yoda's so important in the universe, and Han just... As much as you might love Han, and as popular of a character as he is, even though I think he's overrated, his effect on the Star Wars universe is just not that profound. Especially compared to Yoda, who was a part of training, again, basically any important character. Yoda was there. Yoda was a part of that. Yoda led the Jedi in 1 through 3. He was a very important part of everything that's happening, really, throughout all the movies. He dies after Obi-Wan. So... I ended up with Yoda.
That's interesting, because I didn't even consider Yoda.
Interesting. So I was right that we would diverge at this point.
Yeah, and it usually is like that.
Yeah, that's true.
I was... this one was a hard one. I couldn't put my finger in which one.
Did I mention by name the one that you're going to go with? Or did I not even mention this character?
No, you did mention it. So I think, and I know that there are people out there that are going to say, he's just like, why aren't these guys considering...
Now,
But
now I think I know.
This again, this is my opinion. It's your opinion, right?
Yeah.
So,
and if you disagree, let us know in the comments below. And if go ahead.
And if what?
No,
go ahead.
No.
Well, now I want to know.
Huh.
Well,
I don't even know where I was going. I was trying to have you bail me out. I didn't know where I was going.
Sorry.
Just saying words.
Okay, forget. You just skip that part when you. Anyway, I don't know if you can. So unless you watch it again, then just skip that part when we get there. Or we'll cut it. We'll cut it.
And while we're saying this nonsense, take this time to like the video and subscribe.
What were we talking about?
We're talking about Star Wars and the final character.
So here it is. I really consider Princess Leia.
Yep.
Just because of the impact that she had. And I know.
Yep.
You know, there are others that you might think that are like more important. But I mean, those headphone buttons, the hairdo.
She definitely gets points in the iconic department.
And then just the whole idea of a female character just being like she was, and not be. I mean, she was just a great character.
She wasn't a princess that needed rescuing.
Right. Yeah. She was just a great character. And also a lot of lines that she had that were great. You know, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
Yeah.
Just from there, you know.
So ungrateful.
And then the back and forth with the British accent and non-British accent, that just cracks me up when I see that. It's like, remember that?
I don't think I even noticed.
If you see when she first talks to Darth Vader and then to Moff Tarkin, she has this weird British accent.
Interesting. I don't remember.
Go watch it again. But then he goes away.
It's so weird.
It is just funny. Anyway, so I was really thinking, but then I also have on the other side the Emperor. And I know he's just in the 3, but then you have Palpatine in the prequel. And
he's not just in the 3. He's the overarching villain of the entire franchise.
And we might see him.
In fact, he's more overarching than any of the characters you mentioned.
For sure. And we will see him in episode 9 now, which is really cool. But I just don't know which of those two I would put there.
My problem with him is the villainy thing.
What Mount Rushmore is.
Yeah, and Anakin / Vader sort of has the both, which is why I kind of justified him being on there.
Mm-hmm.
Is the duality of it. Whereas Sidious
he was
just
good
like
and then he was
devil
bad,
figure,
but then he
really.
Went good again.
Yeah, and overall it's a redemptive arc, and overall he's the hero of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Or a hero of the story. Whereas in the case of Darth Sidious, he is purely a villain. And as much as, again, I love Sidious, I'm the biggest Sidious fan you will ever know, I couldn't put him on there just because of...
Because he's the bad guy.
It was... Because it just felt wrong.
Right. I get that.
But he was on my list of possibles. I wanted to put him there, because I love him so much.
And...
I really did.
Villainy aside...
Yeah.
Just seeing him as a character, he's such a cool character.
Oh, so cool. What he does in 1, 2, 3 is awesome.
Yeah.
Great story arc wasted on meh movies.
And now, my dear viewers, we will end.
And you will subscribe. And like the video, because it helps with the algorithms and stuff.
Let us know what you think, what you would put in the Mount Rushmore of Star Wars characters.
Tell us if you think we're wrong. Tell us if you think we're right. If
you
agree with one of us, let us know in the comments below which one you agree with. Or, if you agree with neither of us, let us know. Tell us if you think, what are you talking about? Leia needs to be in there. Han needs to be in there. R2-D2, my man. How is R2 not in there?
But tell us why also. We want to know why.
Yeah, tell us why. And you know what? We'll look at those. All right. You know, someday we may even respond and be like, hey.
Maybe. Don't get too excited.
Yeah.
All right. That's all for now.
Magic.